It was nearly midnight when Hannah pulled into the parking lot of the rundown Maple Leaf Motel, her hands trembling on the steering wheel. Rain streaked across the windshield, blurring the neon vacancy sign into a bleeding red smear. In the back seat, her 1-year-old son, Jamie, whimpered in his sleep. The little boy clutched his stuffed rabbit so tightly its ear was nearly torn off. Hannah sat there for a moment, staring at her own reflection in the rearview mirror, swollen eyes, hair in a messy knot, a faint purple bruise still fading under her collar. This was it. The first night of her new life. Alone. She wiped her eyes quickly, afraid she might wake Jamie, and stepped out into the cold drizzle. The room smelled faintly of bleach and cigarette smoke, but at least it was warm. She laid Jamie gently on the bed, covering him with her coat, and sank to the floor herself. She hadn't planned on leaving that day. But after the shouting, after he'd smashed her phone and stormed out, something inside her finally cracked. She packed what she could, strapped Jamie into his car seat, and drove. Hannah pressed her back against the wall and closed her eyes, willing herself not to cry again. Next door, through the thin walls, she could hear someone playing a guitar. Soft, almost hesitant chords of an old country song she didn't quite recognize. She drifted off and didn't realize she'd dozed until Jamie's cries jolted her awake an hour later. He was burning up. Panic clutched her chest. She rummaged through her bag, no baby Tylenol, no thermometer, no money left after the room. She tried rocking him, singing to him, but his little cheeks were flushed and damp with fever, and his cries only grew weaker, more pitiful. That's when there was a knock on her door. She froze. Then a man's voice, gentle, cautious. "You okay in there? Need some help?" When she opened the door a crack, she saw a man in his late 40s, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes. A guitar case leaned against his door next to his boots. "I'm sorry," she mumbled, ashamed. "My son, he's sick. I don't know what to do." He nodded, calm. "Don't worry. My ex-wife's a nurse. Taught me a thing or two. Mind if I take a look?" Too tired to protest, she let him in. The man, Tom, he introduced himself, gently felt Jamie's forehead, then dug into his bag. "I keep a kit with me. For my granddaughter when I visit her," he said, pulling out a thermometer and a small bottle of children's medicine. "Here we go." Hannah blinked back tears as he showed her how to cool Jamie down, dosing him carefully. Over the next hour, Jamie's fever began to drop, and his cries quieted to soft hiccups as he drifted back to sleep. Hannah sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the stranger who'd shown up at her lowest moment. "I don't even know what to say," she whispered. Tom smiled faintly. "Don't have to say anything. We all need someone, sometimes." The next morning, there was a knock at her door again. When she opened it, Tom stood there holding 2 cups of coffee and a paper bag of muffins. "I was about to hit the road," he said. "But something tells me you could use a little help getting back on your feet. My sister runs a women's shelter in town. Good folks there. They can help with housing, daycare, even a job. Would you let me call her?" Hannah covered her mouth, overcome. "You don't even know me," she said. Tom met her gaze. "I know what it feels like to have no one," he said simply. "Nobody should have to feel that way." Later that day, Hannah stood outside the motel, holding Jamie in her arms as Tom loaded her bags into his truck. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of something she thought she'd lost forever. Hope. That night, tucked into a clean, safe bed at the shelter, Hannah whispered to her sleeping son. "We're going to be okay now, baby. Because there are still good people in this world. And someday, we'll be that good for someone else." And for the first time in what felt like forever, she believed it. No matter how dark the night seems, there's always someone, a neighbor, a stranger, a kind soul, willing to light the way. Kindness costs nothing but can mean everything. Pass it on.